Well, thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job at the VA, and I want to say just a couple of things. I've learned a couple of things from working so closely with the President of the United States. The first thing is that he loves our nation's veterans and has committed our nation's administration to putting our veterans first every single day. And the second thing I've learned about the President of the United States is that he really hates when somebody who's speaking before him goes on for too long. And so with that in mind, I have prepared a very brief and very inspiring 1 hour and 45-minute speech on this beautiful Veterans Day out here in the cold. But let me just give 3 very brief messages. First, to our nation's veterans, thank you. Thank you for serving and sacrificing. We've all got so many good stories of people that we served with over the years. During my 4 years of the Marine Corps, I met the very best of America. People who are willing to put on a uniform and risk their lives for their entire country. Just yesterday morning, I met people who lost limbs, who lost very, very important family members, who lost their psychological health, going out there and serving the United States of America. So whether you gave a little bit or whether you gave a lot, every single person who put on the uniform of this nation deserves our gratitude on this day especially, but every day. And so from the Vice President and the entire administration to our nation's veterans, thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for making us proud every single day. The second message is to the nation's political leaders. I happen to believe that the most valuable resource that we have isn't the incredible wealth of natural resources of this country, as amazing as it is. The most important natural resource that we have is that we have hundreds of thousands of young people every single month who sign up to put on the uniform and risk their lives for their fellow citizens. That is a resource we cannot squander. That is a resource we must protect. And so, to every elected official who's here today, our obligation, our sacred responsibility to our veterans is to make sure that the American military is the bravest and best fighting force anywhere in the world, and to make sure that every time we ask our nation's military to go off to war, we give them the training, we give them the resources, and we give them what they need to kick the enemy's rear end and to come back home safely and quickly. That is our obligation to you. And my third and final message to the American people, I'm asked all the time how to best honor our veterans. And this day in particular gives you an opportunity, and it doesn't have to be difficult and it doesn't have to be complicated. If you find yourself at a restaurant this evening and you see somebody wearing a uniform, buy them a meal if you're able, or buy them a beer. If you see a veteran of our nation's armed forces, if you know somebody in your family, give them a call and say thank you. I heard already this morning from my mother-in-law who sent me a message early California time, and it touched my heart. Just knowing that we have loved ones who recognize our service, who care about it, and who care enough to go out and say thank you. So to the American people, if we want to keep on ensuring that the very best and brightest sign up for our military, the very best way to do it is to make sure that the veterans know that we are grateful to them. And so it's with great pride that I am introducing a man who is proud of our veterans, who fights every single day for the veterans, and who is proud to be the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces, President Donald J. Trump.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, all the VSOs, all of our veteran staff here today, and welcome you to a place in which we honor our veterans, those who have served. I tell you, it was an honor to be here, but it was an even bigger honor just over a year ago when President asked me to take this job. And I asked him a simple question. I said, Mr. President, what would you like me to do? And he looked at me with a simple phrase. He said, take care of our veterans. I tell all the rest of the cabinet, I've got the best job in the world because I get to take care of the best people in the world, the veterans of the United States of America. And this president is firmly committed to making sure this happens. The VA is a different place today than it was just 9 months ago. 9 months ago, there was more of an inner reflection. Now it is an outer reflection. The only thing that matters at the VA is that the veteran comes first. All we do is not about a bureaucracy or where we're from. It's about the veteran who walks through our door. Without the veteran, we have no job. The VA now understands that we do nothing else except take care of the veteran and do things for them. And under that direction from the President, we have lowered backlogs. We have increased wait times. And yes, Mr. President, we get them to community when they want to go to the community to see those doctors. And that's all just in the first 9 months. But the best part of this is that there is something to understand. Is that Veterans Day, unlike the others we celebrate, is about everyday people doing extraordinary things. Veterans Day is about men and women who come from small towns, hamlets, villages, and big towns. And they make a decision in their life to raise their right hand and say, I'm committing to something bigger than myself. I am stepping forward where many will not. I am raising my right hand and committing myself to service to a country, as I said just the other day, to make and ensure that our military is the biggest and baddest in the world. Our veterans make that possible. It comes from people all over, as I served with in Iraq. What I love about Veterans Day is it tells the story of a young girl. She was in her early 20s. I met her on the fields in a wind just like this in the desert of Iraq. She had showed up late, and I was on the night chaplain run, and I'd always saw everybody else, but I didn't recognize her. And I walked up to the gate, and I said, where have you been? And I said, I haven't seen you here. She said, sir, I'm a little bit late deploying with my troops. I said, well, what was the reason? And I said, you could, I figured, why are you coming in 3 or 4 weeks later? She said, well, sir, just about 2 months ago, I had my daughter. And I looked at her and I said, and you came anyway. I said, you could probably got a deferment of that. She said, no, sir. She said, I'd go where my troops go. I go where they go. And for the rest of the time I was there, we shared pictures of one growing up, a little one taking first crawls and moves and sharing it in the night sky over Iraq. That is a veteran who serves because they want to serve others. I remember an A1C who was on deployment. He came back and he said, I am now making big money. He said, I can actually help my family and I can buy Christmas presents for those that didn't get any last year. It's about the stories of those as a young man, and just a little bit young because he's in his 80s, at one of our VA hospitals in hospice, who I walked in on him just the other day, and he was playing on a keyboard, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Veterans Day is about veterans that were not special necessarily when they came up, but they saw a vision and a calling, and they said, I want to be a part of our armed services. So when they raised their hand, they made a choice to become one of our favorite in the world, and that is a veteran who serves this country. So as we come to this day of service, this day of happy Thanksgiving for people who are willing to serve, I would just have one word from the half of this administration, and I want everyone to hear it clearly, whether you're in the media, Congress, or anywhere else. I'm a little bit tired of people saying that veterans keep getting stuff. No, veterans do not get anything from this country. They have earned everything that they are getting, and I am committed to making sure they will always have that from this administration and this VA, and that is my promise and this president's promise to you.